Hello everybody, and welcome to another scary storytelling. Now, if you guys are interested, all the stories that I have posted are on r/scary stories under the username Blue Eyed Shadow. So, if you guys would like to go ahead and check those out, read them for yourself, go ahead, be my guest. Some of the stories are actually getting pretty decent feedback from them. So for those of you who are on Reddit and you enjoy these stories, I truly appreciate it. Let's get into I Will Never Go Back to the Hospital in Halsted, Kansas. I posted it yesterday, and as I said, really good reviews so far. Midway through the year 2017, a friend and I decided to pack up a couple of things and head out to the nearby abandoned hospital that sat in the middle of the town. The children's ward was definitely weird, but most of the hospital was gutted. I grabbed my camera, my laptop, and anything else I would need to capture any of the evidence that might happen that night. I grabbed everything and headed out to my friend's house to go pick him up. Once we were both ready, we headed out to the park to keep an eye out on the hospital for any police presence or anybody who might be watching. After a couple of hours, we noticed a couple of people walking toward the hospital. We decided to lay low, but noticed there was a couple of kids from the town who are also into the hospital. We met up with them and decided to set up a 3-man insertion team and a 2-man team to keep an eye out for anyone who might go around the area. We opened the window inside the horseshoe of the hospital, having only darkness as our protection. I stepped in with 2 of the people who showed up, while my friend and the other of the 3 stayed outside. Once inside, I locked the window to make sure that no one from the outside would be able to come in and fuck with us. We turned on our flashlights, and I hit record on my camera. Walking out of the room the window was in, we traveled through the maze of construction equipment and doorways leading to the other rooms. Finally finding the staircase, we walked up to the 2nd floor and set all of my shit on the stretcher that sat in the middle of the reception area. Taking a look around, I remember the darkness, the silence that then slowly fell over the room. I've had this feeling before, and I don't really know how to explain it. I guess it could be described as my instincts, but I knew something was about to happen. Whether it was due to the darkness engulfing the entire hospital or the numbing silence, possibly both, honestly. When my phone began to ring, I knew something was wrong. Picking up the phone, I saw that it was my friend outside calling, so I answered and set the call to speaker. "Yeah, man, what's up?" I spoke, taking a good look around me, with lights on now. I could see the window leading to the roof. I could see the open doorway with the tiny window on the right, and the hallway that led to the area of the child's doll I left for the little girl's spirit. That was then followed by the chapel area. "Dude, you guys have to get out of there now. It isn't safe." I heard my friend almost scream. I sighed, knowing that when he was scared, all he wanted to do was run, no matter if we had just gotten there or not. Taking another look around, I didn't really take him seriously. I figured he just wanted to leave like normal. "Bro, we just set up. Why do we need to leave? We just saw 3 giant shadow people about 8 feet each. One ran straight into the window you guys went in through. Another jumped straight onto the roof, and the third jumped onto the 2nd floor window, sat there for a bit, and just phased into the window." Now, of course, I didn't believe him. I mean, why would I? 8-foot shadow people jumping into the hospital? How could anyone believe that shit? I wanted to tell him how I thought he was bullshitting, but before I could get anything else out, I heard the biggest bang I have ever heard come from right behind me. I turned around to see if the other 2 were fucking with me. They were on either side of me as I turned. Looking at both of them, we nodded in agreement. Yeah, fuck that, we're on our way." I instantly hung up and started to pack up everything I had just unpacked. I threw my bag on my shoulder and we began to run down the hallway back to the staircase. While descending the stairs, I felt a dark presence crawl on top of me, and as soon as I began to fall deeper and deeper, I could feel myself start to be swallowed by the darkness of my own mind. I saw my childhood first, the cries of a baby, the sounds of flesh on wood, then against the wall, and soon the crushing of bones being shattered into pieces. The pain was immense. First my skull, a migraine that felt as if an ice pick were working its way out of my head, my skin splitting, revealing the fresh, dark red blood. Next, 3 of my ribs. The sharp edge of the coffee table being slammed into my gut until 3 ribs on the right side of my body were completely destroyed. Pieces of ribs now in my lungs and in my stomach. After that came another rib, then another and another. Breathing was difficult at this time. No matter how hard I tried, it felt as if with each breath my lungs were punctured by another piece of my ribs. Then came my collarbone, ripped apart from the inside. I could hardly move. That pain was so intense. I thought I would die right then and there. Finally, I could stand. I could see myself as an infant in the hospital, recovering, bandages and casts covering my body. I can't believe someone would do this to a 4-month-old child. I heard the voice come from behind me. Turning around, I saw the 2 people who picked up the broken remains of the infant and put them back together. Now reaching inside their own chests, they both pulled out half of their own hearts, put them together. Now its own full heart entirely, slipping it inside the chest of the baby. I knew this child was me, and the 2 people soon became clear. I knew they were the 2 who adopted me, my new parents. The ones who saved me. I felt happy now. I wanted to hug them more than anything, to thank them for taking my pain away. Before I could even move though, I felt an overwhelming pain in my new heart. I looked over to see my sister Stephanie, beautiful as a teenager, very little cares in the world. I saw her slowly slipping away as the brain tumor grew in size, almost the shape of a baseball now. Finally, the image of my sister faded, and the darkness crept over me once more. I tried to look back over at my parents, but could see there was my mother, broken down on the ground, frustrated and overwhelmed. I saw my father laying in bed, his memory fading, and his body deteriorating. My father, who once saved me, now a frail, fragile shell of who he once was. I tried to scream. I tried with everything I had to tell him I loved him, but my words were drowned out by 2 gunshots. I looked to my right to find my younger brother laying on the ground in a pool of his own blood. The gun he had stolen from our mom and had used to end it all still in his left hand. I saw my father, now nothing more than skin and bones, be put into the casket. It was so hard to say goodbye, so as he was put down into the ground, I felt my body jump down with him. The feeling of falling once again came over me. This time, a light came from in front of me. As I fell closer and closer to the light, I felt the urge to puke, now being consumed by the light. I woke up on the ground covered in sweat. I looked around and saw that I was outside, with everyone looking down at me. I looked back at the hospital, the window wide open. Just the memory of what happened was too much. So I got up, shut the window, and locked it from the outside. I wiped off my forehead, my arm now covered in sweat. I turned back to them and nodded. We all started to head home with the images of what happened in the hospital still on my mind. I knew that I will never go back to the hospital in Halsted, Kansas.
Where's your phone, Andre? Both of them just getting rolled down the hallway. Bro, it's okay. He said something. I heard that too. He said, like, help.